What is up? What is going on? We have a guy in here that we have all been just huge fans of, huge friends of the podcast. Welcome in, Joe from Jay's Trident. But first, let's get to the intro.
Baseball stuff!
Welcome back to the Hold My Trident podcast. And yes, we have a awesome guest with us today, Joe from Jay's Trident. Joe, how are we feeling today?
Feeling great. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to come on and talk to everybody here about some baseball. So, I mean, not feeling great about the Mariners through 13 games. That hasn't been fun, but always love talking baseball. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, anytime. And we always love having Joe over here and everything. We got Kyle and Emily also in the house, the usual suspects. Joe, our guest, I wanted to kick it off with you first. Where are we on the side of this fence? Are we in the it's early camp, or are we in this team needs a swift kick in the pants camp? I wanted to kick it to you first. What are your thoughts on where we're at right now as a Mariners fan base?
It's early. I'm still in that camp of it's 13 games. I saw someone post on Twitter. I don't remember who said it, but right before they went on that huge run in September, they were in a 4-9 stretch and they pulled out of it and ended up, winning the division. So like, there's things to be frustrated about. 100%. Every fan has a right to be like mad at how they've played, but I'm still 100% in the it's still early camp. We are 13 games in, 149 of these left. They were 5-8 last year. Doesn't mean that you want to start poorly, but look around the AL. Detroit's 4-9. There's like 3 teams with a positive run differential in the American League right now. Everybody's off to a little bit of a sluggish start in this league. Again, it doesn't excuse the poor start. There's even more reason to start better with other teams struggling. But I'm still fully in it's early camp, but frustrated by some of what's happened for sure.
I agree. I think the frustration is where I'll lean, because it's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum. We're in it's early camp, but we're on the latter end of we're frustrated with what we're seeing, and it's mainly coming from the hitters and that side of it. Whether it be, if you want to talk about how bad the defensive stats are, I mean, that's another glaring issue. Talk about the middle of the order and the guys that were paying a lot of money to hit the baseball are just not hitting the baseball and kind of doing what they're doing. I'm in the camp of it's still early. I just don't want to get to a point where we have to go on a 14-game winning streak just to make the postseason. And granted, that's happened, or it was a 10-plus game winning streak that has happened in the last two times that we've made it to the postseason. I'd like to fray away from those circumstances if possible, but I agree. I think it's still too early to just have final judgment, and this series coming up could play in a different factor. Nosey, what about you? Where are we at? Or are we in the it's early camp, or are we in the this team needs a swift kick in the pants camp?
I'd say a little bit in the middle. I mean, you could say, you look at some of the, like, in past seasons, right, when the Mariners have had this incredible start to a season when we were expected to do nothing, and the teams like the Astros or the Red Sox, Yankees, your big hitters in the American League, would falter, and then all of a sudden their talent said, okay, we're going to start playing ball now, and then they just kind of kept, going and going and going, and then they landed exactly where people thought they were going to land. For the Mariners, the team, we know what kind of team we have. Our pitching staff has done a phenomenal job. We honestly just need to have I hate to say it, we need to just have mediocre hitting, and we'd be fine. We're worse than mediocre right now. But we are that good of a team, and I think it's that problem of someone needs to get in and say, hey, guys, put the ball in play. We strike out way too much. You can't do anything if you let 3 pitches go by. Sorry, there's no game plan that works and makes that successful. You are seeing guys slowly come through. Cal's starting to hit. Randy's getting a little bit more. I think the thing that's killing us is we've got 3, 6. We have 11 home runs through 13 games. 11. And that's coming from your 9-hitter, your occasional DH, your occasional right fielder, and your leadoff guy. I didn't mention Julio because he's got none. I didn't mention Naylor because he's got none. Like Randy, none. JP gets a pass because he's been hurt for most of the season. Your lefty specialist has been a lefty disappointment. It's just everything that could happen right now for our hitters to go wrong has went wrong. So, I mean, if you're playing the bingo card for bad hitting for the Mariners, you blacked out your card already. So
minus
minus
Luke Raley, minus Brendan Donovan. You're right. Minus players.
But the guy now again, what's the silver lining? The guys you weren't expecting to be what they have been so far have been. The Cole Youngs, the Rayleys, Donovan. I'm gonna eat crow all year. Christian's dancing in the background here. He's been phenomenal and I love it. You're seeing signs of life. It's just not where we'd like it to be. We know Julio is not a good first half player, but he's a shell of that. And and you're never going to put that guy in the 7 hole, even though I think he's rightfully deserving to be there. So you kind of have to roll with it. You just right now hope, one, your pitching stays as good as it has been. You have no injuries, and you hope something changes. We get into, I mean, honestly, hopefully we get May 1st. I hope we're within 8 games of 500, to be honest. I think if we're there,
I like that. You have to be closer, but yeah, you might be be right. I mean, 8 games, holy smokes. We've gotten ourselves in quite of a pickle here. I agree. I think there's things that do need to be pointed out that are going well, right? That really are positive. Some of these names that we didn't expect, some of these names that we just weren't sure if they were going to show up, have. And it's nice to acknowledge the positive that's also going on, and to acknowledge also that if those guys just continue doing what they're doing, and we finally get the middle of our order doing what they're supposed to be doing, this team could be, banging on all 4 cylinders here. Emily, wanted to kick it over to you. Your thoughts on where this team stands right now. Are we in the it's early camp, or are we in the this team needs a swift kick in the pants camp?
Well, I like that you mentioned that it's a spectrum, because it is a spectrum. And depending on which game this last week we were watching, I was at different ends of the spectrum. But I don't know. I definitely feel like it's early, because it is early. This isn't all that different than any of the starts we've had thus far, that we've done, the last several years, as we've only made the postseason twice in recent years. And then we've got these years that were, within 1 to 2 games of making the postseason. There's a lot to be said for it is early, and there's so much that can happen, and our team tends to struggle at the beginning. But I think the big difference this year and why everybody's so frustrated is because the expectations are so high. This team, we came into this year fully convinced that this team was going to run away with the American League West, that they were going to be multiple games above anybody else going when we get to September. And here we are, we're not showing up like that at all. And the best guys, the guys who got us to the postseason last year, have done almost nothing. So yes, it's early, but I also understand why people are so frustrated, because it felt like, and I talked about this in one of my articles in the last couple of weeks, that it really did feel like we were safe to have the expectations that we had coming into this year with the lineup. And when you have national broadcast people talking about the fact that our lineup is the best in the league, or at least best in the American League, when you look at it from 1 to 9, I mean, we should probably not ever listen to anything the national broadcast says ever again.
Do you think the WBC was a problem for us, being a team that had almost the most amount of guys there and not giving them the time to gel?
Noting the trend, because I did see some WBC numbers of, I think there was like over 15 guys from the WBC hitters wise that are struggling. Byron Buxton being one of the names, Roman Anthony being one of the names. There's a lot of guys from the WBC that aren't really factoring in, or just off to a slow start. Obviously, Cal Raleigh didn't have a single hit in the World Baseball Classic, and his struggles continue. He does have the one home run, and he did get robbed from Joe Adell. Tip of the cap to Jordan Adell for a heck of a night. But yeah, I think the World Baseball Classic maybe plays a factor into this. I don't. It's tough for me to not want the World Baseball Classic, but I mean, it's tough to begin the season the way it is. Getting into roster management, roster overhauls, roster movement, lineup movement. Joe, I'm going to toss it over to you for this one. Is there anything that you'd like to see from either the lineup or the roster that maybe shake things up, get a new look, or would you keep this roster exactly how it is?
I think I'd keep it pretty similar. Again, I'll go back to kind of just the being early. It's just we're still dealing with such small sample sizes for everybody. And I mean, outside of like Colt Emerson, I don't think there's really anybody impactful sitting there that could like change the trajectory of the team. Like I love what Patrick Wisdom's doing in Tacoma, and he's had some good success in the big leagues before. So it's not crazy that, someone like that could help, but where's he going to go? You're not going to bench Josh Naylor, and I don't think you're putting Wisdom at third base. Maybe he's better than Donovan there. I don't know, but you want Brendan Donovan's bat in the lineup. So then it's, where's all the pieces going in those scenarios? So I don't think there needs to be any like massive roster shakeup. I think we'll see Colt Emerson, sooner rather than later, but not like right now. And maybe that'll allow Donovan to left, Randy to DH, and just kind of rotate, Donovan around the diamond a little bit and then filling in everywhere. So he's still an everyday player, just not at third every day. Lineups are always tough for me. I just like, sure. I mean, if there's something that Dan and Kevin Seitzer and Edgar and Jerry DePoto are sitting down and Justin Hollander and go, hey, this is going to unlock this player, then sure, mix it up. But it's just not going to matter where these guys bat if they don't hit. I hate tease, but it's a little bit of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. If they're going to be this poor, doesn't matter what the batting order is going to be. Like, they're just not going to be a good offense. Now, I think all these guys are going to be better, and that this is like the worst we'll see from them. I obviously think they'll be better, but I don't know if, and I'm not hating on anybody that's saying move the batting order around. I totally get it. Like, hey, whatever can get a spark going, I'm not against it. But is moving Cal to 6 going to be like, oh, wow, he's just locked in now, and Julio's doing this at the bottom? Like, so if they're not going to hit, I just don't know if moving them around is going to matter. Yeah. And listen, baseball players are weird. Sometimes moving them in order, putting lamps definitely matter. I'm not saying like, and again, if they think it can trigger something and do it, like, I'm not going to fight them on that. I just don't know if this is a lineup, order issue. It's just guys aren't hitting. Rob Ruffsnyder has made a career out of mashing left-handed pitching. There's been so many lefties he's faced this year that he should be crushing. Not so much Mackenzie Gore, but Friday in Anaheim, Brent Suter, right? The pitcher. That's a guy that Rob Ruffsnyder should just be blasting.
100%.
And luckily Josh Naylor gets the 2-run single right after. Who was another one that he faced? Some of the Texas relievers, like it was Tyler Alexander. Like, that's a guy that Rob Ruffsnyder should be hitting. And I don't want to put it all on him, but I don't have a problem with him batting leadoff against lefties. He's a great on base percentage guy and can hit. Like, that's a good spot for him. Yeah. Also, I would say this: the struggles against left-handed pitching have been concerning. At least against righties when they're struggling, you have so much guys with pop. Now, like what Kyle said, they're not hitting those home runs yet, so it hasn't happened. But at least against righties, you've got Luke, you've got Dom, you've got, I don't need to name everybody that can go deep. Against lefties, it's a little trickier. They've got to rely more on a little more station to station. Donovan's not going to hit probably any home runs against lefties. Robles on the IL now, but he doesn't have great power. Rob Ruffsnyder is more of an average OBP guy, not a power guy. So they've got to find a way against left-handed pitching to be better, because right now what teams are doing, if you've noticed, every team they faced has a plethora of lefty relievers, and they're just bringing these guys in. They're daring them to take Rayleigh and Dom out of games, or they're daring them to face left-handed pitching, and they're not coming. It's tough for them. That's where the platoons can hurt you. I'm not against platoons, but it can come back to bite you a little bit in those situations. And then on top of it, they're just leaving those guys in against Cal, Julio, Randy, and they're not doing anything. Against Naylor, they're not doing anything. So until those guys start hitting, the meat of the order, they're just going to get overexposed by these matchups late in games as well.
Yeah,
What do you think
and
about, what do you think about
go ahead.
spreading them? Sorry, like, so not changing the order, but what about spreading them out to say,
That's
instead of
what I
them
was gonna
being 2,
say.
3, 4, have, okay, to me, Julio should not be in the 2 hole right now. I think I'd rather see Cole Young in the 2 hole. And what if you, and Cal, I think's fine at 3, but what if you put Randy at 4, put Julio at 5, maybe you put Rayleigh at 6, Naylor's now hitting 7. I mean, at least put someone in between them, because right now you've got right now there are 3 automatic outs, and
Well,
it's
Joe, I also wanted to say I love that perspective too, because I didn't think about some of these guys that you just need to give more opportunities to and just kind of let it run. Me and just being a former coach and being the former player, I'm always if the seats aren't hot, change. Like put your left shoe on your right shoe. Be weird, be different. And sometimes it works. It works when you do that. Or yeah, if you put Cal at the number 8 spot, is he going to see more fastballs? Maybe, maybe not. There's a pretty good chance he probably won't. But if you get to the 8 spot and you already have a runner on first and second, maybe he is seeing more fastballs. You never know. But yeah, I like that perspective too, because Rev Snyder being at the leadoff spot, I agree. I liked him at the before game 1 of him playing, and I saw that lineup and I saw Rev Snyder leading off. I was a big fan of that. I like him in that against the lefty. It just hasn't panned out. We have too many guys going through a slump at the same time. It sucks, and this is, I think, typical Mariner baseball. We're used to April of this team just not hitting. It's not necessarily bad Mariner baseball. It's just bad Mariner hitters in April. In the month of April, it doesn't matter if we're on the road or if we're at home. We always just tend to not be the greatest of hitters through that first month. And I don't know if that is that a exterior question for spring training. Do they not handle spring training the correct way and prepare for game 1 of the season, or is it? Are we blaming it on?
It's what she said. It's what she said earlier. It's the expectations. We've never had these kind of expectations. If we did exactly what we are doing now last year, you'd kind of go, well, they're starting off slow, but we'll see what happens. Like no one had the expectations. We're World Series bound last year. This whole I think that's the biggest thing is it's this, I'm not going to call marine layer, but this layer of just expectation over what's happened so far, to me, is the biggest kind of, I think it's just brought it more in front of you, as opposed to in previous years where it was kind of like, oh, well, we'll see what happens, right? The Mariners, they weren't supposed to be all that great. We're supposed to be great. Like, we're supposed to be this hot team, top to bottom, best lineup in the American League. You have the best pitching staff in the American League. It's just, I think it's the expectations with the results that we're seeing is why I think we're seeing just the issues and all, probably the media attention that we'd rather not see occur.
And it does suck, because I mean, you hate to say you should have been here before. You should know how to rise to the occasion. If the light turns on, you should learn how to play. But yeah, as an organization, we've never made it that far. That's the furthest we've ever made it in franchise history. And there's a big target on their back. And some of these guys may have come into the season with, I got to perform. I got to perform right away. And it's just stuck in there, because the way Cal Raleigh's swinging the bat right now, I'm wondering if he needs glasses. The way he's missing the ball that's in the zone. I think I saw Tight Gonzalez put out a tweet earlier today talking about in zone contact rating, and we are dead last, with Cal Raleigh being dead last at 71 point something percent. And yeah, it's like the ball's in the zone. We got to find a way to put a bat on the ball. Especially, not every guy's out there throwing 98 to 100. Understandably, those guys can be tough. If you see a Ben Joyce, a Garrett Crochet, any of these guys that are in that triple digits category, yeah, that could be difficult. But we're seeing sometimes 92, 95, and we're struggling with fastballs in the zone. And yeah, I think you might be onto something with up here. It might just be all up here, and I'm hoping this Thursday off has reset some of the guys. They're able to maybe just it could be just a good old fashioned take a day off from baseball. Stop thinking, try and enjoy life a little bit. Go do something with your family. And then, hey, tomorrow, we'll get back to the ball field. Now, granted, that's not exactly what's happened. They're practicing today. That's just how Major League Baseball operates. They're doing something on the field today. But Emily, want to kick it over to you. Thoughts on this roster lineup? Anything that you'd like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea of maybe splitting these three guys up when you're talking about Cal, Julio, and Josh, because it does feel like those are three automatic outs right now. And as much as it sucks, if you're going to have three automatic outs, don't have them 1, 2, 3, like one after the other. It's demoralizing for a team, and it is a confidence booster for their opponent, right? Because they know that there's these three guys that they can kind of count on to not do a whole heck of a lot. And I hate saying that about these guys because one, I know that they don't want this. They don't want this. They don't want it to be this way. But also, they really are, and I believe as we get further into the season, they're going to be our biggest contributors. But you're right, the expectations have been super high. They've, I think a lot of it is mental, whether it's from, I mean, these are all guys who were in the WBC. They're all guys who missed out on a significant portion of spring training. There was so much going on with that. And so I'm really hoping that coming into this series against the Astros, who are coming off of, and we're going to talk about this later, but coming off of being swept by the Colorado Rockies, which, Joe, you don't know this, but my middle son is a diehard Rockies fan. And so he is like so happy. I'm like, hold on to it while you got it, babe. But anyway, yeah, I do think that things need to get shaken up in the lineup. But I also know, like, if I know our front office and if I know our manager, that's not going to happen. He is married to the idea of his lineups, and he's married to his idea of splits with, lefty and righty and all those things. He hasn't really shown a lot of creativity in his couple years of managing the Mariners when it comes to lineups. So I don't know. I mean, I know that last
He's
year
deployed. Dan Wilson has been very synergistic, if that's a word, with this whole idea as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that last year he did move Julio down pretty significantly at one point in the season when he was really struggling. I think that was leading into the All-Star break last year. I don't want to be unfair to him. He has shown some level of we'll move things around, but sometimes I think it takes him a little bit too long. And all you got to do is, I mean, just, being a baseball mom, it's like moving kids around in the lineup and giving them different opportunities. It's really no different for these big league guys. Just give them an opportunity to hit somewhere else in the lineup and great things can happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But
and on the topic, on the topic of roster overhauls stuff, we have somebody in AAA. We mentioned Patrick Wisdom. He deserves his flowers. Even if he comes up and he's Mike Carp, and shout out to Mitch Levy for the tweet he put out yesterday on, even if he comes up and goes 0-for-4 in 6 straight games, the guy's earned it with what he's doing. And I believe an 8th bomb last night. But there's another one staring us straight in the face. It's been a hot topic since spring training. Every night I'm seeing a highlight. He had another multi-hit game. As we're speaking right now, I'm seeing he had another hit in the 8th inning. Cole Emerson. We got to talk. We can make this one quick before we get into the Astros series, but thoughts on a potential Cole Emerson emergence? Is this guy, well, none of us are experts here, but I mean, would you like to see Cole Emerson, I guess is the better way to frame this. Joe, kick it over to you. What's your thoughts on Cole Emerson and I guess a more quicker call to the MLB?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned in my video the other day, what was so exciting about having Colt Emerson, Kate Anderson, and maybe Ryan Sloan this year is they could be the cherry on top of your ice cream sundae to kind of finish the team and be like, man, and we're so good, and we've got Colt Emerson and Kate Anderson coming up. I don't want Colt Emerson to have to be the ice cream where it's like, oh, we don't have to worry. Colt Emerson will come up and save us. That's not fair to him. But I mean, he can kind of kill a couple birds with one stone. He's going to be better defensively. So you're probably going to improve. We'll just say he goes to third because I don't think they're not moving JP Crawford. Next year, Colt Emerson will be the shortstop. JP's the shortstop this year, barring something crazy. So Colt goes to third. Maybe Donovan goes to left, and then the DH right field is just kind of a massive hybrid of guys. That does make you probably better offensively and probably better defensively, which has been a big issue for the team. They are not good defensively at all. They have made a lot of mistakes that have kept their pitch. Even yesterday, I don't want to pick on Connor Joe, but that throw home, makes that play. Who knows? Maybe 1-0 pulls the game out, and they score a run later. So it probably does take care of a couple things for you. But I think it's tough when it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like, hey, we're losing. Let's bring up a player that should be really good. But it's also like, I don't want it to have to be like, hey, Colt Emerson's going to save the season. I want Colt Emerson to be like just that missing piece that we go, we're not worried. We got like the best prospect in baseball, or one of the top 5 prospects in baseball. It's going to come up and add to how good this team is. But I think they're going to be patient. I don't think we're going to see it yet. I don't really know what their timetable is for it. I think they thought Donovan would be a little better defensively at third. He's better than Polanco was last year. That's not exactly like a massive praise for him. So I don't know exactly when it'll happen, but eventually, if the defense keeps struggling, funny enough, I think it's going to be the defense that forces their hand with that move more than the offense a little bit. I mean, the
I
offense
agree with you.
Atrocious. Yeah, but I think it might actually end up
be the defense.
Yeah.
Because we went into the season without a established third baseman, and Eugenio Suarez kind of, in my opinion, checked a lot of boxes in that category. Understandably, he wasn't the greatest hitter in Seattle. I understand that, but I still think he checks a lot of boxes, and he's worth the risk that you could take for this lineup. You can stash him a little bit lower in the lineup and let him try and find success down there in the 7, 8, 9 spot. But huge shout out to Dom Skeen. Dom is also doing a lot of Mariners podcasting. If you don't follow him and you're listening to us, check out Dom. He does fantastic work. But he also mentioned, if anything, the lineup is desperate for righties. Timing just needs to be a little bit better, not on the fastballs, but on the breakers, or the breakers like you want, but you've been close on both. And so, I agree. I think it's just everything that's coming into the zone. They've been bad on balls that they need to be good on. In hitters counts too. We've seen 2-0 fastballs just get blown right by them. We've seen 2-0 sinkers that are in the zone that they can't hit. We've seen 2-0, 2-1 just hitter count pitches that they struggle with. And it's just, as a collective, there's nothing really going well for this hitters for all the hitters. And then you stack right on top of that how bad the defense has been, and you wonder how you even won one game so far this year. You get super blessed with how well this pitching staff goes. But we'll kick it over to Nosey and Emily for the Colt Emerson call-up. Thoughts on that? I know Nosey's been pretty firm on one side of this, but I'm just curious if anything's changed since spring training till now. Are we looking closer at a call-up for Colt?
I think so. Ultimately, like our utility guys, our bench guys have not performed. Leo Rivas, he kind of struggled when he was kind of forced into action. Bliss got, he didn't get many opportunities. But I think what scares me is looking top to bottom, we strike out way too much. And Colt Emerson right now in AAA has got 12 Ks over 1 walk. So and again, he's batting 294, 333 on base, 471 slugging. He's got 1 home run, so he's beaten, top half of our main hitters. So, kudos to him. Quite frankly, I don't understand the Connor Joe call up against Patrick Wisdom. They're both right-handed hitters, both right-handed throwers. And Connor Joe, before he got moved up, was a 235 hitter. Patrick Wisdom's a 333 hitter with 8 bombs and 16 ribbies. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Just statistics alone. Connor Joe, 3 Ks to 10 three walks to 10 strikeouts. Patrick Wisdom's got a +2, 9 walks over 7 Ks. I don't understand it. It makes 0 sense based on any way you want to look at it, unless Patrick Wisdom is just a terrible infielder. But Colt Emerson, could he be a spark plug?
I'll double down on that and say, even if he is a terrible infielder, we're right there already. I'd rather take the chance on the high potential bat that he's bringing. Confidence is at an all-time high for this guy. Even if he just gives us 2 bombs a week and those bombs help us win a game, worth it in my opinion.
We need the Rowdy Tellez. That's what we need. Is that kind of that?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you could put Rough Snyder in right field too, which they did yesterday, and Wisdom could DH as well. So, they are worried about, not that I think Rough Snyder's a good fielder, but again,
he did rob the home run.
True.
That robbed home run was pretty impressive.
It was awesome.
I'm just not. I don't think I'm ready for Colt because again, I feel like the perfect scenario for Colt is you can bring him up, and I think as Joe was saying, like it's hey, just go play. We're not looking at you to be, hey man, hey, we need to put you in, but you kind of need to perform like now.
It's savior moment right now.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's savior moment.
And as we've seen prospects for the Mariners in the past get absolutely ruined by coming up and telling you, hey, you're coming up and you have to be, what we hope to see you in 5 years. We need that now. That we wouldn't be doing him any service. I'd be better off finding if you got any veterans off the streets, to be completely honest with you. The guys that have been through it, right? Hell, is Justin Turner available? I'd love to bring him back. Just to give a different look. It's a right-handed guy. We know what he can do. He's performed in Seattle. But I digress. I just don't think Colt is – while Colt is – I think he's hitting well, it's the strikeouts. And I think he could be – and I think I talked about the same thing, moving Donovan to left. You could move Randy to DH. You could hell, I'd even say, can Cole Young, I know some of the throws, he's played a phenomenal second base. You also have an all-star second baseman playing third. Could you swap them around, see maybe if the defense changes a little bit? I think there's enough guys on the roster today you can kind of mix and match and kind of figure this thing out. But I just don't think this is the right time for Colt. And I don't think it'd be the right. I don't know if he'd say that, like, no, it's not my time yet. But the expectation of what we'd want him to be doing, it's not a good time.
Emily, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. We've seen how poorly it's gone in the past when you call up a prospect too early. And, I mean, I think ultimately going back to what we were talking about with Dan and our front office and Kyle, we had multiple conversations about this in podcasts leading up to the season about how married the Mariners are to their platoons and their versatility. Patrick Wisdom's only an infielder, but Connor Joe's infield outfield, and the fact that they called him up to replace Victor Robles, they wanted a guy, I'm sure, that could also play outfield. But I completely agree. I mean, if you have any desire to get your offense going, you have to do what it takes to get it going, and that might mean being creative. And I know you only had that comment up for a couple of minutes there, Gav, but just talking about this about
covering your
Randy
face.
I don't care.
It's covering your face.
I'm gonna be mad enough about this that you don't even need to see my face. Like, not at the comment, but mad at this idea that if Randy, ultimately Randy, love Randy. I was so glad when we got him, but unless he's contributing really heavily, your left field defense is so terrible that I don't care how mad you are. You're going to move to DH if you cannot catch a ball. If you can't have the basic little league defensive skill to know when a ball is going to go behind you, you have no business being in left field. Sorry, maybe that's a hot take, but whatever. But I just,
his routes are pretty bad. His routes
they're terrible.
Are pretty bad.
Absolutely terrible. Anyway, I think I said in the group chat earlier this week, my middle son, who's a select ball player, was screaming at the TV that we need to DFA him. I'm like, it doesn't quite work like that, sweetheart. But anyway,
his bat's not the problem.
His bat's actually been one of the better ones.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think that you got to get creative, and maybe you do bring up Patrick Wisdom, have him either have him go into third base, or keep Donovan at third base. And no, I guess you'd really, Donovan, I think, because I don't remember his his defensive splits of where he was at, I know obviously he played second base for the most part, but I can't remember if he played more games at third base or left field, but I know he played a lot of left field, and I feel like he would do better out there than Randy has been doing. It wouldn't be hard, but anyway. Yeah, I think you just gotta get creative. You gotta get creative. I just don't understand. If you
gotta shake it up. I agree.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
gonna go back
you
know what? This
Christian will be happy. I'm drinking Coke Zero.
Get the emotions out. Drink your Pepsis. Drink your Coke Zeros. I'll have my Elysian IPA Space Dust. Shout out to a Seattle brewery. This is not sponsored whatsoever. I just enjoy the brew. Thank you guys at Elysian. We'll get into our final kind of tidbit here on the Astros series as we're seeing right now, they are dealing with, I believe Hunter Brown is making an IL stint, and I think they're dealing with another starting pitcher down as well. So in this series, you have Tatsuya Mai taking on Emerson Hancock tomorrow night back at T-Mobile Park. And then Saturday evening, you got Lance McCullers Jr. taking on Luis Castillo. Beyond that, it is TBD for Houston. It's just we got Logan Gilbert on Sunday, and then George Kirby following that on Monday. It just seems like this is the time to strike. This is the time to really bury a famed division rival, one that you've always struggled, or not struggled, it's one that you've always had just this beef with. It seems like this is the time that you can potentially turn it around and turn the season into a positive with 3+ wins coming out of it. Joe, I'm going to kick it over to you. Thoughts on this upcoming series, expectations, just anything in general on the Astros here.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick too with Randy, like, in terms of like, if he gets upset, like you'll still need him to play some outfield because Donovan, what I would do is eventually if Emerson come up, then Donovan just rotates. So on days where Donovan's maybe playing second base to give Cole Young a day off, then sure, Randy goes back to left field and has to play there. So yeah, I'm kind of with everybody else. Like Randy, dude, if you're not going to make the routine plays, you got to get over it. Like you're going to be a DH and we'll get you out there, occasionally when someone else needs a blow. So it's not like you won't be out there ever. It's just, it is what it is. So, I mean, you probably would still get some outfield reps if that makes Randy sleep better with that knowledge. But in terms of the Astros, eventually got to win a series. I mean, it's like I said, it's early, but you've got to get some wins together here at some point. I think Mariners right now just need to go one game at a time. Just try to win tomorrow night. Emerson Hancock, I mean, the fact that I don't care about wins, losses in terms of how they reflect on a pitcher, but the fact he's a 0.71 ERA and has a loss is like just kind of sums it up right now. Yeah, like you shouldn't have an ERA like that. It's almost zero and have a loss. That's the Joe Adele game. And you know what? Maybe Emerson Hancock's the right guy in the bump, right? Because like
I love it.
There's not a ton of pressure on him. He's truthfully looked probably like, the best so far. Pitching's been great, but he's looked like one of the best. Sometimes those are the right guys to have on the mound to get things going a little bit. And I think he's going to throw the ball well. Houston's offense has been fantastic. Their pitching has let them down. So you've got like this clash of, no offense versus bad pitching. Who's going to break or burst out quicker here for Houston versus Seattle? But yeah, they've got to find a way to quiet the Houston bats a little bit. I do think Houston's offense is overperforming so far. I don't love that offense, but if Christian Walker's bouncing back and Jordan's healthy, it certainly changes a lot of things for them for sure. So I'm really like not putting like a total on what I need to see from this series. You want to get some wins. You don't want to get swept. You're sitting there at 4-13 or 5-12 if you lose 3 out of 4. But for me, it's one game at a time. Go out there, win tomorrow. Try to stack some wins together. That's the key too. You want to start getting 2 or 3 in a row. That starts getting the vibes change a little bit. And I just want to see some better at-bats. Like I need to see some better contact. The day before Cal just missed the home run that Adele robbed, I said on my show, like, I just want to see a hard hit ball from Cal. Now, of course, the baseball gods, go, oh, hey, here you go. Here's your hard hit ball. It's going to get robbed for a home run, but just, I need to see some good contact. I want to see the team just play better baseball and one game at a time. I don't know how the series is going to play out. Houston's still probably a pretty decent team, but if it's a split, then just look better doing it here. And you just, especially early, you don't want to bury yourself. You get swept here. You're starting to get to that point where you're like, okay, now you're 9 games under 500. What are you going to do here? But
yeah,
even if you come out of this with a split, okay, like do it playing better baseball and one game at a time. Go out, win tomorrow, and let's talk about a dub. And then you go to the next game and try to do that. It's cliche, but that's just kind of how I'm looking at it right now.
I think the one game at a time approach is exactly what this team needs, especially with what we're thinking is going on. Like, obviously we're not in the clubhouse. We're not flies on the wall as much as I'd love to be. We're taking a stab at there's a lot of pressure going on with these guys to perform really well. And I think the one game at a time, rather than looking at 162 as a whole and looking at their current record, I think the one game at a time approach will be the absolute best way to kind of stack those wins. And it sounds cliche and it sounds very old school, but I love that. I love being able to tear things down and simplify things. And that is the simplistic approach. Going back to even fundamentals in the practice, right? To help some of these defensive woes that are going on. Going back to fundamentals with hitting, just to get simple bat on the ball. You know, coach, my hitting coach once upon a time said, hey, you get 2 for you get 1 for the team. Your first 2 strikes, you know, try and knock it out of the park. Try and do what your game is modeled to do. That last strike, you are doing anything and everything you can to just put a bat on the ball, especially with 2 outs and nobody on. Just try and extend the inning as best as you can. Something as stupid of an approach as that was that I had in college, I think simplistic approach could help this Mariners team kind of moving forward. Nolsey, what are your thoughts going into this series here against the Astros?
I think you guys touched on it. I think it's just one, pitch how we've been pitching. I mean, our worst ERA is a 5.4, and that's Logan. You know, like, you know, it's pretty impressive in my opinion. I mean, you got it's, our pitching has been phenomenal. I think it's going to be on the, and it says be on the plus side of runners in scoring position, and be under 2 errors a game. I think if you want to come out with a split, or if not more, I think you got to bat. I'd say you got to be batting close to 300 with runners in scoring position, and you got to keep the errors. We're not human, you know, or sorry, we are human. So errors do happen. So I would say no more than 1 error a game. I'd say if you can keep it there, we should come out, you know, fairly well. But, and then I was also curious about Patrick Wisdom. He's played in his 7 years. Damn near 90% of his games, it looks like, were at, or no, sorry, not 90. It's almost 60% of his games have been played at third base. Who's to say Brandon Donovan can't play right field? You know, like
testing the waters, testing the well. Let's do something crazy.
That's what we do in Seattle.
While we are giving out flowers, while we are talking about this pitching staff, I did want to give at least another positive tidbit here. We may have found this year's kind of Colin Snyder and Cole Wilcox. I think Cole Wilcox has hit the ground running. He has started to take on a much bigger role in the bullpen, and you could be looking at a 2023 Colin Snyder. I believe it was 2023 when he had that breakout year. But yeah, you could be, or maybe it's 2024. Cole Wilcox has hit the ground running, and I think there's some other guys, you know, coming up that if you need to fill in roles, let's say Legumina, you know, falls back to maybe the second half last year. There's some other guys that are also coming up. Hoppy has done some great things in AAA, but I wanted to at least, you know, touch on something positive here. And that's another guy that we didn't expect, or if you expected him as a collective, we didn't know about this guy a whole lot. And Cole Wilcox has done a fantastic job through the 4 1/3 innings that he's attacked this year. He has 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 hits, and not given up a run yet. Gonna knock on some wood right there, just to kind of keep the good juju kind of going into this weekend. But Emily, want to toss it over to you. Thoughts on, you know, just going into this weekend?
Well, I wanted to read off a tweet that I found yesterday that I thought was hilarious. It's from Cespedes Family Barbecue. I don't know if you guys saw this tweet. That says, the Astros just got swept by the Rockies and have a team ERA of 6.05, 30th in the MLB. The Mariners just got swept by the Rangers and have a team OPS of 0.581, 30th in the MLB. Starting Friday, it's the stoppable force versus the movable object. Mariners Astros 4-game series in Seattle. And I saw that and I laughed so hard, because it's true. Like, you really do have 2 teams. And I mean, I don't think anybody was nearly as high on the Astros coming into the year as they have been in years past, just because there's so many things that they were moving around, and we know that they're probably getting close to a little bit of a rebuild. But I do think that ultimately, I hope that when we are sitting down Monday to have a conversation about what this series looked like, that we can at least say our team is playing better ball, that we are maybe seeing a little bit more defensive, just a little bit more clean defense out there. Players I don't know, looking like they're paying attention in their defensive spots and are ready to do their job. And then just more offensive production. I think what you said, Joe, about better numbers. I think it was you who said it, Joe. Better numbers with runners in scoring position. Players taking that, like you were saying, Gav, taking that third strike seriously and trying to put the ball in play. I do think this is a series where that can happen. I do think we can see some serious improvements in this series because we are playing against a team that doesn't have the greatest ERA. And so I think we have pitchers that we're going to be facing that can give us the opportunity to put the ball in play, because I think we got to figure that out before we go down to San Diego and Mason Miller chops us up like Swiss cheese. Like we have to have, a little bit more cleanness at the plate and taking our plate appearances a little more seriously. But, I do, I don't want to sound like I'm like a negative Nelly right now, but I really do think this is the time for it to happen.
That's okay. We need all the emotions out, good and bad. I promise I'll bring the positive vibe, but I'm going to bring some negative ones too. So no, I agree. I think, just everything that's kind of going on, wrapping this whole thing up before we get into this weekend, one game at a time. I think that's what we can kind of bury this into. And Joe, you hit the nail on the head there. One game at a time. Simplify this thing. An unstoppable force meets an immovable object in this terrible offense that we have and their terrible defense. That's the two objects that I'm referring to in that analogy. But for Up West Sports, thank you, Joe, so much for hopping on. If you guys don't already follow Jay's Trident, please head on over there. Awesome at breaking down the games post game. So if you want the great post game drops, please jump over there. Follow on all social media as Jay's Trident. And then for Up West Sports, I'm Gavin. That's Emily. That's Joe. That's Kyle. And just remember, life's too short. Gas up your boys.